I knew the ship was sinking the day our lunchroom got replaced with a damn ping-pong table. 7 years. 7 long, mostly thankless, caffeine-stained years of duct taping this company's digital guts back together. While the execs played buzzword bingo and chased their next vanity keynote, I was the ghost in the machine. The glue between procurement and payroll. The wizard behind the curtain no one remembered until something broke. Ever seen a server room at 2 a.m.? It's not glamorous. No neon lights, no hacker soundtrack. Just a blinking red LED and the hum of HVACs older than my car. That was my church. I was the quiet priest holding the incense, praying the ancient backbone of our Frankenstein enterprise wouldn't crap out before I finished debugging another vendor API that hadn't been updated since Obama's first term. The young ones called me legacy, said it like it was a disease. But legacy is just another word for built this with my damn hands. Oh, by the way, if you're still listening and you're not one of the 97% freeloaders who binge these stories without clicking subscribe, maybe smash that button and toss a like. It fuels our tiny caffeine-fueled team and tells the algorithm gods we're not just yelling into the void. Anyway, at some point last fall, I started noticing the rot. First was the subtle things, calendar invites titled Optimization Workshop with no agenda. Then came the Slack messages from people with job titles like Product Evangelist asking me how resilient our ecosystem architecture was for disruption. What? Translation. They wanted to blow up the old systems without knowing what the hell they were made of. Then, one day, the air shifted. We got a memo, disguised as a culture refresh, announcing that our new VP of technology would be arriving from an award-winning startup. The email was full of syrup and startup noise, cross-functional innovation, agile scaling, intellectual velocity. I remember thinking, this guy's going to try to kill our mainframe with a PowerPoint. His name was Kellen. I'm not joking. Kellen showed up in a Patagonia vest and all birds, like he'd been grown in a VC-backed greenhouse. First all hands, he spent 10 minutes explaining why we needed to sunset legacy thought frameworks. He never once mentioned systems, just alignment and synergy, and something about digital karma. The IT floor started bleeding talent within 2 weeks. People who understood things like cron jobs and packet loss were replaced with UI designers who made mood boards. Kellen held meetings where whiteboards were more crowded than our Git repo. And I, senior backend systems analyst, breaker of downtimes, whisperer of deprecated code, wasn't invited to most of them. I tried to play nice. I even scheduled a one-on-one to walk him through our infrastructure map. The man squinted at a flowchart like it was written in Sumerian. Why are we still using any on-prem? He asked. I told him flat out, because migrating payroll to cloud while maintaining uptime requires more than a vision board. Got COBOL sandwiched inside a Java wrapper running through a VPN that nobody's updated since your haircut was in style. He laughed, said, we'll rip the Band-Aid. I said, cool. Just don't be shocked when the patient bleeds out. He called me a pessimist. I called myself a realist. Management called me into a collaboration training seminar, but I knew what was coming. When the spreadsheet assassins in finance start sniffing around IT, it's never long before someone with senior in their title gets turned into severance. So I started packing my metaphoric go bag. I cleaned up my documentation, not for them, but for me. I hardened a few permissions, double-checked the flag protocols, and prepped a little gift, an internal fail-safe system with a single point of override, flagged to one biometric, mine. Legally gray? Maybe. Malicious, only if you're stupid enough to fire the one person who knows where the kill switch lives. But hey, that'd never happen, right? You ever seen a man try to reinvent the wheel by lighting it on fire and calling it a hovercraft? That was Kellen. 2 weeks after his PowerPoint sermon on digital reimagination, he started his scorched earth tour through the back end. Legacy system, dead weight. On-prem server clusters, obsolete. Redundancy protocols I'd spent years perfecting, too paranoid. The man strutted through the office like he'd discovered gravity, even though his last company folded faster than a card table at a church bake sale. I did some digging. His award-winning startup had been a glorified app that tracked your dog's poop schedule. Real Silicon Valley genius. But hey, he had a shiny MBA and a BuzzFeed quote on his LinkedIn banner, so the board ate it up like day-old donuts. First thing he did, cut the quarterly maintenance budget. Said we needed to streamline, which apparently meant canceling everything from vendor patch schedules to our in-house compliance scripts. Then he axed the overnight team, because if we build it right, we won't need babysitters. That night, the automated invoice system failed, and we had 30 vendors threatening lawsuits by sunrise. His solution? blame procurement. Next, he started gutting non-essential modules, except non-essential in startup speak means anything built before last week. We're talking decades of integration tools, middleware, even the backup scheduler that kept our mainframe from choking on quarter-end reports. He'd point to a wall of dashboards and say things like, "If it's not visual, it's not valuable." Meanwhile, code that made all those pretty graphs possible was written in 2006 by a guy named Dennis, who now lives in Montana and answers emails once a fiscal year. Then came that meeting. It was supposed to be a sprint review, just IT leads, a few DevOps folks, and Kellen. I was there with my notebook and a migraine, already smelling the doom in the air like burnt coffee and lemon-scented hubris. Kellen pulled up a flow chart with half the system dependencies erased. "Here's our modernization roadmap," he beamed. Phase 1, deprecate all legacy infrastructure. I raised my hand. "You mean migrate it?" "No," he said, smirking. "Deprecate. It's a sunk cost. We're not spending another dollar on old tech." I blinked. "Payroll runs through the legacy stack." "Sure," he waved it off, "but we'll spin up a microservice to mirror the database. That database is a tangle of 80 Xera schemas nested in wrappers no one's touched in 15 years. If you unplug it, authentication dies. So does order processing. And if you don't decouple it right, you'll brick procurement too." He grinned like he just caught a fish. Sounds like fear-based thinking, not solutions-oriented strategy. There were chuckles around the table, from the UI kids mostly. The ones who think JSON is a dating app. Respectfully, I said, keeping my tone even, if you decapitate the legacy stack without replacing its blood supply, entire system will hemorrhage. Fast, he cocked his head. "I think your attachment to the past is clouding your ability to scale." That's when I knew this wasn't about systems. It wasn't even about logic. It was about ego. And egos like his don't bend, they snap, preferably under pressure. I closed my notebook, didn't say another word, didn't need to. Because sometimes the best way to teach someone how a fire suppression system works is to let them light the match. It was a Thursday. You always remember the day they try to erase you. I was halfway through a lukewarm egg salad sandwich and a ticket backlog that looked like the Book of Revelation when the Slack ping came in. "Can you swing by HR at 1:30? Just a quick chat." "Sure." And I suppose the Titanic just wanted to touch base with the iceberg. HR smelled like anxiety and cinnamon air freshener. The kind they plug into the wall to mask the stench of bad decisions. I walked in, saw the VP already seated, legs crossed, Patagonia vest unzipped just enough to reveal his startup logo tee, and knew immediately this wasn't a check-in. On the table, a manila envelope. On their faces, that faux-concerned expression people wear right before they hit you with a shovel. "Thanks for coming in," chirped the HR lady like she wasn't about to assist in a digital execution. "As part of our ongoing restructuring, your position is being transitioned out." I blinked once, twice, looked at Kellen. He leaned back, arms smug behind his head. "It's nothing personal," he said. "Just trimming the fat." I tilted my head. "So I'm fat now?" He chuckled. "You've been great, really, but we need velocity. We can't be held back by folks who aren't aligned with the new architecture." "Ah," I said, voice calm as a morgue. "The woman who wrote the skeleton key to your entire authentication protocol isn't aligned." He gave me that glazed-over look tech bros get when they've wandered into a conversation with actual substance. I opened the envelope. Severance papers, NDA, non-disparagement clause, the works. "You'll need to turn in your laptop," HR said, holding out her hands like I'd brought it gift-wrapped. I handed it over. No protest. No scene. Just a small, slow breath and the kind of silence that makes people uncomfortable. "Security will escort you out," she added. "Standard protocol." The two guards were nice enough. Hired muscle with kind eyes and zero clue they were walking a landmine out of the building. As we passed by the open office, heads peeked up over cubicle walls like prairie dogs after a thunderclap. Whispers started. Slack messages flew. I caught eyes with the junior DevOps guy, Jacob, I think, mouthed "What the hell?" as I walked past. Kellen strutted out behind me like he'd just slain a dragon. As we reached the lobby, he leaned in and said, "Sotto voce, no hard feelings. But let's be honest, you were dead weight." I stopped, smiled, tilted my head like I just heard a toddler swear. "Funny thing about dead weight," I said. "Sometimes it's what's holding the scaffolding up." Then I walked out. Now here's where things get interesting. You see, Kellen thought he'd removed a variable. What he didn't realize was, some systems don't reset with a reboot. Some locks require a human touch, and in his brilliant rush to modernize, he never bothered to learn what lived beneath the dashboards and UX gloss. My laptop was gone, my emails deactivated, but they didn't revoke my badge, not immediately. Maybe HR forgot. Maybe Kellen assumed the autosync handled it. Or maybe the system, my system, just didn't listen to strangers. I checked my watch. 1:57 p.m., 30 minutes. That's how long my badge still had juice. Long enough to leave behind a signature. A ghost in the machine. An echo inside the code that no consultant could trace and no protocol could erase. I left the building quiet, composed, and calm. But behind my sunglasses, I was smiling like a woman watching a thunderstorm roll in from a beach chair. Let them unplug what they didn't understand. I'd already flipped the first switch. The first crack came at 2:04 p.m., 7 minutes after I walked out. Kellen was probably still riding the high, chest puffed, showing off his PowerPoint roadmap to some poor intern, while HR passed around a tray of gluten-free cupcakes to celebrate streamlining ops. Meanwhile, back on the floor, badge readers hiccuped. At first, it was just the warehouse staff. Few couldn't log in to dispatch. No big deal, probably a Wi-Fi blip or some usual Monday nonsense, except it was Thursday. And Thursdays are when procurement runs its batch verifications. 2:06 p.m. Procurement tried logging in. Error 403. Authentication server unreachable. 2:08 p.m. A help desk ticket popped up. VPN timing out, followed by 2 more. Can't access inventory tracker, and why is SSO redirecting to a 404? The junior sysadmin, poor kid, was fresh out of boot camp, tried bouncing the service cluster. It bounced back with a red wall of dependency, not found errors, and something called ghost key timeout. No one knew what that meant, but I did. The system was checking for my override signature. It wasn't finding it, and so, protocol dictated, halt all non-critical processes until verification completes. Spoiler alert, it never would. 2:11 p.m. The internet dashboard froze. Someone from finance posted a meme in the Slack channel. 404, Kellen's strategy not found. It got deleted in under a minute. 2:14 p.m. Internal chat started clogging with messages. Anyone else locked out? Shipping API is throwing 500s. Is this a fire drill? Or Jacob, why is the inventory queue 2 hours behind? By 2:18, the network monitor lit up like a goddamn Christmas tree. Email lagged. File permissions started auto-revoking. The new real-time inventory portal Kellen pushed live, completely offline. Users couldn't authenticate past the splash screen. Meanwhile, Kellen was still in the executive wing showing off new UX mockups when someone from legal burst in, face white as printer paper. Procurement just went dark. He blinked. What do you mean dark? I mean no access. No orders, no records, no backups. It's like the database doesn't exist. He waved it off. Just have IT restore it. From what? All the backups route through a staging queue that's apparently offline too. He frowned. That's not possible. Oh, but it was. Because the staging queue wasn't just a folder, it was a heartbeat checker, pulsed once every 60 seconds looking for a hidden token generated by a biometric handshake. Mine. No pulse, no access. 2:23 p.m. Kellen stormed onto the IT floor. What the hell is going on? Nobody had an answer. Jacob was pale. It's like every system is waiting for a signal that isn't coming. Roll it back. Kellen snapped. Deploy the rollback package. We can't, said another engineer. Rollback fails. Dependencies are corrupted. I would have finished if I'd still been there. But I was on a patio with a lemonade and burner laptop, watching the whole thing unfold from a dummy Zoom account named Linda HR Observer. Kellen grabbed the desk, white-knuckled. What the hell did she do? By she, he meant me. And what I did was warn him. Repeatedly. He just didn't listen. The dumbest thing you can do in tech isn't deleting a server. It's thinking you're the smartest person in the room when you don't even know where the damn room is. He unplugged the nerves from the brain and expected the body to keep walking. Now all they could do was watch as the systems choked one by one. Not broken, not hacked, just waiting for me. By 2:30 p.m., the panic had a heartbeat. Every 5 minutes, another piece of the machine coughed, sputtered, and flatlined. You could have set your watch to the collapse. 2:35, inventory control down. Orders hanging in limbo, packages stranded mid-pick. Warehouse floor dead silent, except for the sound of someone knocking over a rack of labeled bins and muttering Jesus Christ under their breath. 2:40, payroll scripts stalled. Half the company got flagged as inactive users. One poor soul from HR tried to rerun the batch and triggered a recursive loop that re-archived everyone's W-2s back to 2015. Servers started ejecting paper like confetti at a sad party. 2:45, shipping API dropped dead. FedEx couldn't handshake with the endpoint. Every outbound order from 24 warehouses coast to coast just turned into a digital ghost. Nothing moved. Not a box, not a pallet, not a damn barcode. People ran, like actual, full-speed running. One guy from facilities tripped over a power strip and brought down a quarter of the local Wi-Fi. Intern cried. That part isn't a metaphor. She literally sat on the floor next to the coffee machine and wept into a reusable straw. And then someone leaned on the wrong key in the disabled security dashboard, left over from Kellen's Streamline patch, and triggered a silent fire alarm that couldn't be deactivated. Klaxons started wailing in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and what I think was Swedish. The sprinkler system almost kicked in. Almost. The override command failed. Guess what server handled that? Kellen screamed something about root access and stormed into the ops bay with his arms waving like a malfunctioning windmill. Why is this happening? Who the hell built this? Everyone looked at Jacob. Jacob looked like he was going to throw up. She did, he said quietly. Kellen froze. He stormed into his office and tried calling me. 4 times. Each call went straight to voicemail. My number? Disconnected. Earner SIM snapped in half and buried under 2 inches of sand next to a ticky drink. He tried Slack. Need to talk. Urgent. Then email. Please call me. Something's gone wrong. Then, finally, an all-staff message. We're experiencing a temporary outage. Please remain calm while we troubleshoot. This is a standard recovery procedure. Standard my ass. At 3:10 p.m., they brought in outside contractors, Silicon Valley types with black t-shirts and lanyards covered in stickers. One of them wore a Kubernetes is my love language hoodie. They swaggered in with their external drives and cocky smirks. By 3:30, the swagger was gone. This code's wild, one muttered. There's no comments. No structure, another said. It's modular, but not like any schema I've seen. What's this encryption layer? Why are the access keys tied to a biometric hash? Helen hovered like a vulture on a juice cleanse. Can you bypass it? A long pause. Then, I mean theoretically, but you'd have to rebuild half the environment just to crack the staging layer. And even then, without the root fingerprint, Kellen exploded. She was a damn back-end analyst, not a goddamn cyber witch. Cyber witch might be the nicest thing anyone's ever called me. They kept digging. And the deeper they went, the worse it got. Dependencies tangled like vines, mission trees that looked like ancestral maps, triggers that called functions that called daemons that checked credentials only I could sign. The system wasn't broken. It was waiting. And the only thing it wanted was me. I had my feet up on a plastic lounge chair, a cheap beer in one hand, and a burner laptop balanced on a towel that smelled like SPF 50 and salt water. A seagull squawked overhead, just as Kellen's voice cracked through the muted Zoom call like a man trying to explain fire to cavemen. I don't care how she coded it, just get me in. The emergency meeting was chaos in HD, 4 board members, 2 consultants, the CFO, pale and twitching. Kellen, pacing in front of a whiteboard like he could manifest a fix through kinetic energy and sheer audacity. I sipped. The window in the top right of the screen showed the monitoring dashboard. Offline, offline, offline. A rolling list of red flags stacked like playing cards after a windstorm. No one was even pretending anymore. They were bleeding revenue and clout by the second. And Kellen, he was unraveling. I've brought in 3 senior-level consultants. We've got access to the backups. We can reverse engineer it. No, we can't. One of the contractors interrupted. The backups are fragmented across micro-containers and encrypted with biometric handshake tokens. Can't decrypt the files without the original credentials. Then crack it. Kellen barked. The contractor shrugged. We've tried. Every container's got a different key. Some of the keys are nested inside verification daemons that require access to a separate service just to generate the checksum. And even if we brute force that, half the functions are obfuscated. I smiled. You see, I built it that way. Not out of spite, out of necessity. Flashback. 10 months ago, I was standing in front of the war room dry erase board, walking a junior dev team through the legacy middleware structure. We had pizza, Red Bulls, even those sad little granola bars HR handed out like they were currency. I remember feeling hopeful, like maybe, finally, the next generation would understand the beast under the surface. Jacob was there, asking good questions. Marina, too, scribbling diagrams like her life depended on it. That's when Kellen barged in. What's this? I said, internal workshop. Just walking them through the scaffold, long-term continuity. He made a face like I'd just farted. No need to waste time on dinosaur systems. We're moving forward. You should still know what you're replacing. No, he said. We're not maintaining your code. We're replacing it. Clean slate. He ended the session early. I remember Jacob looking at me, confused. Should we still study this? I looked at Kellen's back as he disappeared into the hallway. Then I sighed. Study it anyway. Someday someone will wish they had. Back to present. Now that someday had arrived, and there I was, beach hair in a messy bun, watching the people who dismissed me try to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded, underwater, with missing stickers. I opened a new browser tab, pulled up LinkedIn, dated my headline, Senior Systems Architect Legacy Rescue Expert, available for short-term crisis consulting. Seconds later, my inbox pinged. A recruiter I hadn't heard from in years. Subject line, "Are you watching this?" Eyes, I was, and I was enjoying the show. Because the thing about systems like the one I built, you don't own them with a title. You earn them with years of blood, coffee, and silent weekends debugging code no one else could even read. When you fire the architect, don't be shocked when the building starts to scream. By 4:15 p.m., I had 3 things: a half-empty beer, a Wi-Fi hotspot that kept dropping when someone flushed the hotel toilet, and a growing list of job offers that felt more like open apologies from the universe. The first ping came from a recruiter at Stratadine Systems, one of our old rivals, kind that used to throw shade at our ancient stack in every industry panel. The message was short and sweet. Saw the headlines, "You available for contract work. Heard you built the monster that's currently eating its creators. We pay well. 0 Kellen types, I promise." I didn't respond right away. Not because I wasn't interested, just wanted to enjoy the slow burn of irony. A few minutes later, another one hit my inbox. Subject, long time. From Tim Cho, former client, current VP of infrastructure at a shipping giant we'd once saved from a ransomware nightmare. "Hey, hope you're well. We're finally greenlit for our full system migration. Could use someone who knows how to actually keep legacy alive while going modern. You free for a retainer gig? Big budget, no BS." I laughed, out loud. A nearby kid gave me side-eye from his inflatable dolphin. Meanwhile, on the burner Zoom, the chaos continued. One board member was yelling about shareholder liability. Another was asking what the PR response plan was. Kellen looked like a man trying to outswim a tsunami using nothing but buzzwords and cold sweat. Then my phone buzzed again. It was a text from an old number I hadn't seen since the last time our company was within hours of losing a major contract, because a junior exec had unplugged the FTP proxy thinking it was a coffee machine. Jack M., semi-retired CTO, my mentor, the man who taught me 3 things: never trust code without comments, never deploy on a Friday, never let people with shiny shoes touch the root console. His text said, "Heard they're scrambling. Just saw the access log spike. Watching this circus?" I replied with a photo of my drink. 5 seconds later, "You want in? I can call the chairman. They're begging for someone with a pulse and a clue." I didn't answer right away, because I wasn't just watching anymore. I was plotting. See, this wasn't just revenge. This was chess. And Kellen had thrown out the queen thinking the pawns could learn to fly. So I opened my consulting LLC's contract template, blew the sand off the keyboard, started filling in blanks. Rate, triple, terms my call, conditions, root access, no interference, and Kellen's office keycard mailed to me in an envelope labeled "Oops." Across the Zoom, a junior exec blurted, "Why is the mainframe asking for her credentials?" The room went still. I smiled, typed out one more message to Jack, "Tell them I'll talk, but only when he asks nicely." The LinkedIn message came in around 4:42 p.m. Kellen H., VP, Digital Transformation, acting lol. "We need your help. Please, I know we didn't leave things great, but the board is demanding action. No one can get in. The contractors are lost. We're bleeding. We need you. No emojis, no smug hashtags, just pure corporate panic in Arial font." I waited 5 full minutes before typing back, "Send me the Zoom." Link arrived in 10 seconds. Title, Emergency Board Response Infrastructure Catastrophe. Catchy. I clicked, entered the waiting room. Let them sweat while the status read participant waiting to join. Gave myself a moment, adjusted the lighting, took one last sip of watered-down beer, then hit join with video. The screen filled with a Brady Bunch grid of red faces and white collars. Kellen froze. His pupils actually dilated. You'd think he saw a ghost. In a way, he did. I didn't say anything at first. Just stared into the camera, calm, neutral. I let the silence wrap around them like a noose. Finally, one of the board members broke. A woman in a blue blouse and diamond earrings the size of nickels. "You're the back-end lead?" I tilted my head. Why is our infrastructure collapsing?" I shrugged slightly. "Because you removed the person who understood it, and then tried to plug in consultants like it was IKEA furniture." Another board member jumped in. We were told you refused to share documentation. I shared it, didn't understand it, because they never asked. They deleted the training sessions, shut down my team, prioritized slide decks over scaffolding. Kellen opened his mouth, then wisely shut it. So, said diamond earrings, can it be fixed? Easily. Hope fluttered across their faces. If I continued, you give me full access, no oversight, and a 6-month consulting contract on my terms. Non-negotiable rate. I don't answer to the VP, I answer to the board. Silence. Murmurs. Kellen fidgeted like a toddler who needed to pee. Or we could rebuild. We have some working code now, the backups are. I cut him off with a look. That single raised brow my mother used to stop hurricanes. You'd spend 6 months just reverse engineering the encryption scaffolds. You'll lose vendor trust. Warehouses stay frozen. Audits fail. You'll lose your ISO certs. Rebuilding from scratch would cost you 7 figures and 12 months, assuming you can even find someone to do it. I leaned forward. Or you sign my contract, today. I fix it in under 48 hours, and I walk away when the job is done, no strings attached. The CFO, who'd been silent the whole time, finally spoke, and he nodded at Kellen. I didn't smile, not quite. I don't care who sits in what chair. But I won't log in until his name is off the org chart. Another beat of silence. The chairwoman turned to someone off camera. Prep the contract. Remove the VP from command chain, effective immediately. Kellen's mouth dropped. Wait, what? She didn't even look at him. Just waved a tired hand like she was shooing a fly. I heard my phone buzz. A DocuSign notification. I opened it. Skimmed. My terms, triple rate, no supervision, 100% executive level clearance. Approved. I clicked sign. Then I unmuted for the first time. Check your logs, I said. The system's already waiting for me. And with that, I left the call. It was time to come home, as a vendor, with a vengeance. When I walked back into the building the next morning, the air felt different. No badge beep, no security escort, just a buzz at the front desk and a laminated pass handed over with trembling fingers. Vendor clearance, executive tier name, redacted company, Resilient Systems LLC status. Active, the receptionist blinked at the card, then at me. I gave her a nod. She looked like she wanted to say something but swallowed it. Probably didn't know whether to thank me or duck. The halls were quieter than usual. Funny how outages make people whisper, like sound might break what's left. I passed HR. 2 of them bolted into a meeting room. One dropped her coffee. When the elevator doors opened on the 3rd floor, a few heads peeked over cubicle walls. A ripple effect followed, desks turned, chairs shifted, whispers multiplied. Someone actually clapped before catching themselves and pretending it was a cough. I walked like I'd never left, because I hadn't, not really. My name was back in the employee directory, not under infrastructure analyst, not under backend team, no. Founder Resilient Systems LLC. Embedded contractor, strategic lead, godmother of uptime. The CFO met me outside the server room, no handshake. Just a manila folder with access credentials and a muttered, glad you're here. I nodded, let's keep it that way. Inside the server room, the hum was louder than I remembered, comforting, like coming home and finding everything where you left it, but a little quieter, like the house knows something changed. I ran a quick diagnostic. Systems twitching, still bruised, but salvageable. Fire was out. The bones were intact, they just needed their architect back. I opened the primary control panel. The screen flickered once, then settled. At the top, a familiar line, primary override access, authorized her name, 1 click, 1 login. Everything started to breathe again. Behind me, the new interim VP, some young guy with a nervous smile and a master's in not screwing this up, peeked in. Just wanted to say thank you. We're lucky you came back. Sipped my iced coffee. Don't flatter yourself, I said. I didn't come back for you. I came to finish what I started. He nodded wide-eyed and turned to leave. I called after him. Tell the team systems will be stabilized by EOD, but make sure everyone updates their passwords. He paused. Anything else? I looked him dead in the eye, cool as the condensation on my cup. Yeah, I said. Tell them redundancy's only a problem when it's your job. Door shut. Room quiet. Systems alive. I leaned back in the chair, surrounded by blinking lights and sweet, humming servers, my old friends. Outside, the company pretended it had survived a storm. Inside, the logs still knew the truth. Primary override active user, her name status, unrevoked permissions. All let them call it resilience. I called it revenge done right. What hits hardest in this story isn't just the revenge. It's the quiet competence that built the trap before they even lit the match. There's a lesson here. The people you overlook in boardrooms often hold the keys to your survival. Respect isn't just polite, It's operational security. Thanks for joining the fun, you office survivors. Subscribe for more switch-flicking drama. Let's make your former coworkers sweat.